This was the first time in the history of their snow worship cult that they had won against major forces. Although more than 500 people died in this battle, it was still a beautiful turnaround for the snow worship cult. After all, most of their casualties were ordinary followers, and they could be compensated. The casualties in the two major bases were elites, and they could not be trained without spending a certain amount of time. After this battle, the two major bases were seriously injured. In the future, it will be difficult to have the spare energy to launch an invasion of the Xishan and Lujiang areas, let alone harass the snow worship cult's sphere of influence. The Chaoyu base and the Yangsheng base were defeated and fled. In this battle, Zhang Yi and the snow worship cult won the final victory. Zhang Yi silently put away his sniper rifle, looked at the remnants of the two bases that fled, and then looked at the snow worship cult members who were jubilant there. For a moment, he had the urge to fight with this group of people again. The three forces suffered the greatest losses in this battle, while Zhang Yi's people were almost unscathed. Of course, this was related to Zhang Yi's full preparation in advance. However, as a price, in addition to the shelter, other surrounding buildings were almost completely destroyed. This included the villa where Uncle Yu and Fatty Shu lived. This battle was extremely dangerous, and it also made Zhang Yi realize the horror of large-scale war. The fearless fighting style shown by the snow worship cult made Zhang Yi deeply afraid. He even felt that this religious organization was more terrible than the base forces. But after thinking about it, Zhang Yi gave up the idea of attacking them. The snow worship cult is a group of fearless fanatics. It is absolutely not worth it to lose one's team members in order to kill them. Besides, the snow worship cult has the most people. Unless they kill their mutants, no matter how many ordinary members they kill, they can quickly make up for it. Zhang Yi put away his gun and went downstairs. He looked at the back mountain. Xing Tian really kept his promise and did not attack them. He just watched from the sidelines. This made Zhang Yi look up to Xing Tian. This guy is still very faithful to his promise. Of course, this is also related to the strength shown by Zhang Yi and others. Credit must also be based on strength. Zhang Yi took out his mobile phone and called Xing Tian. "You can come and take the remaining food." Xing Tian quickly replied, "Wait a moment, we have other things to deal with." Zhang Yi raised his eyebrows. Other things? He vaguely guessed something, but that matter had little to do with him. So Zhang Yi smiled faintly and didn't pay much attention. He walked out of the shelter. Liang Yue, Uncle Yu, and Flower were all covered in blood, and Fatty Shu was also exhausted and panting. Fortunately, everyone prepared the supernatural food made by Yang Mi and quickly restored the supernatural energy in their bodies. Otherwise, with such a high-intensity continuous battle, they would not be able to hold on until now. "Okay, everyone, we won!" Zhang Yi walked over and patted everyone's shoulders. When he patted Liang Yue's shoulder, he felt that her shoulder was as hard as steel. "It's okay. The fight is over, and you have also avenged your students." Zhang Yi comforted her. Liang Yue's murderous eyes, like an iceberg, suddenly melted at this moment, and the whole person leaned on Zhang Yi weakly. Zhang Yi then discovered that there was a deep wound on her neck. Although the blood had coagulated, it was still terrifying. Zhang Yi's eyes condensed, and he quickly picked up Liang Yue and returned to the shelter. Just now, this crazy woman rushed into the enemy's battle alone, chopped the soldiers of the coalition as vegetables, and attracted a lot of firepower. She was lucky to be alive. Zhang Yi sent Liang Yue to the infirmary. Zhou Qi was shocked by Liang Yue's wound before she could celebrate the victory. She quickly prepared medical equipment and medicines to stop bleeding and suture Liang Yue. The next step was to finish the war with Snow Worship Sect and Qingpi Base. More than half of the casualties on the Snow Worship Sect side, even the mutants were killed. But for them, this battle was completely worth it. Zhang Yi still remained vigilant against them. He walked over and said to Zheng Yixian from a distance, "This battle is over. You can leave. From now on, the territory of Xishan Base belongs to me. Zhang Yi said, "No one of you can approach without my permission." After this battle, Zheng Yixian also witnessed the terrifying strength of Zhang Yi's team. He bowed to Zhang Yi and saluted. "Thank you for helping us win this war. According to the agreement, except for missionaries, no one from the snow worship sect will approach this land." Zheng Yixian understood that it was Zhang Yi and others who tied up the main force of the coalition and killed and injured the coalition's living forces. Otherwise, they alone would not be able to challenge the two major bases. He also understood one thing, that Zhang Yi had already reached a cooperation with the people of Qingpei Base. In other words, even if they did not stand on Zhang Yi's side this time, it would be difficult for them to gain much benefit. "I hope that our snow worship sect and you can coexist peacefully and respect each other in the future," Zheng Yixian said to Zhang Yi with a smile. Zhang Yi narrowed his eyes. "Ah, of course. After all, I am a pacifist." There was no grudge between Zhang Yi and Snow Worship Sect, and both sides were afraid of each other at this time, so no conflict broke out. Zheng Yixian led the followers of Snow Worship Sect, chanting sacred prayers, and floated away. Looking at their backs as they walked away, Zhang Yi's narrowed eyes flashed with a vigilant look. This time it was not them who gained the most, but the Snow Worship cult. Zhang Yi's team proved their strength, so that other major forces organizations dared not invade their territory again. But the Snow Worship cult got a living and breathing space. With their powerful ability to attract followers, they will soon become stronger. Moreover, with the blessing ability of the Snow Worship cult leader Yuan Kongye, their number of mutants will also grow rapidly. Just like locusts. They were unable to develop rapidly at the beginning because they were restricted by several major bases. Now that they have lost their restrictions, how much will they expand? When they become so powerful that no one can restrict them, will they become Zhang Yi's new enemy? All this is unknown, but it is indeed very likely. Zhang Yi felt the fear of the major bases at the beginning. Maybe I released a monster, but now I have no choice, Zhang Yi whispered to himself. Regardless of other forces, now he only cooperates with forces that are in his own interests. As for future matters, let's leave it to the future. After all, the expansion of the Snow Worship cult's strength is just a guess of his. Zhang Yi walked to the battlefield silently and collected all the useful materials. The coalition forces are all elite, and their weapons and equipment are very valuable, which can just make up for Zhang Yi's losses this time. In addition, many mutants died in this battle. Zhang Yi observed that 7 mutants were killed. Based on the principle of not wasting, he wanted to absorb the abilities of these people. But when he found those mutants, he unexpectedly discovered that 3 of them had become empty shells. What happened? Was it absorbed by someone else? Zhang Yi thought this phenomenon was very strange. After all, in the process of fighting, no one should have the energy to do such a thing. But there was no other way to explain it at the moment, so he didn't go into it. After cleaning up the battlefield, Zhang Yi turned around and said to his old friends with a smile, Let's go back. It's time to have a good rest." Flower jumped onto Zhang Yi's body, rubbed his neck, and immediately left a large pool of blood on his body. In this battle, it turned into a chariot and crushed and killed countless enemies. Zhang Yi gently touched its head, then put his left hand around Uncle Yu and his right hand around Fatty Shu, and the 3 of them smiled and walked back to the shelter with their arms around each other's shoulders. On the snowy plain in the distance, Xiao Honglian and Wei Dinghai led the remaining soldiers and fled here with difficulty. They were in a very bad state. They were so imposing when they came, and they were so miserable when they fled. The 2 families had less than 100 soldiers left, and even lost 5 powerful mutants captains. This battle almost cut the armed forces of their respective bases in half. Wei Dinghai himself was slashed by Liang Yue and was seriously injured. In addition, his anger made his injuries worse. The Snow Worship sect, Xingtian, these bastards actually betrayed us. Wei Dinghai hit the car hard, and the violent noise expressed his inner anger. but anger didn't work. Failure is failure. The reason they lost was because they underestimated their opponents. They thought Zhang Yi only had a small team and a small shelter. So they didn't take Zhang Yi and his people seriously. But when they really fought, they found out that they were wrong. Judging from the firepower defense and the level of mutants alone, Zhang Yi's team is definitely not inferior to the original Xishan base. In addition, as the defending party, they have the advantage of geographical advantages, and they can fight well even if they are 1-against-2. Chao Yu base and Yangsheng base were defeated because they underestimated the enemy and made judgments based on their common sense before obtaining enough intelligence. So they did not lose. If they had known this earlier, they might have brought all the combat power of the entire base. Or they could choose to negotiate with Zhang Yi and divide the territory left by Xishan base more gently. It's a pity that there is no regret medicine in this world, and they must swallow the bitter fruit of underestimating the enemy. Xiao Honglian and Wei Dinghai were sitting in the same carriage. In the case of emergency retreat, their chariots were basically destroyed, and now only 4 were driven out. Hearing Wei Dinghai's complaints, Xiao Honglian was also gnashing her teeth in hatred. She was not surprised that the Snow Worship Church turned against her. But why would the Qingpei base help Zhang Yi? This was the thing she couldn't figure out the most. If the Xingqian Corps of Qingpo base joined the battle group, the situation on the battlefield would definitely not be so difficult. After all, that force is best at large-scale wars. Xingtian, how much benefit did Zhang Yi give you to make you choose to betray us? Xiao Honglian became more and more angry. She took out the satellite phone and was about to contact Xingtian to question him. But Wei Dinghai suddenly stopped her. Don't be impulsive. Huh? Xiao Honglian stared at him, not understanding what he meant. Wei Dinghai said faintly, Xingtian and his men did not attack us. These guys are fence-sitters and have never really joined the battle group. So I guess they took some benefits from Zhang Yi and then watched from the sidelines, not helping anyone. He gritted his teeth and cursed. These guys have always acted steadily and are unwilling to take risks. If they can get benefits without fighting, they will be very happy. The several major forces are old friends and old opponents who have dealt with each other. Wei Dinghai has seen through Xingtian's character. Xiao Honglian said angrily, What about our agreement? He broke his promise and caused us heavy losses. How can we say this? Wei Dinghai sighed. Now that both of our forces have suffered heavy losses, do you think it is possible to go to Xingtian to settle accounts? Just hope that he will not add insult to injury and come to attack us. But soon after he finished speaking, a roaring sound came to his ears. It was like an avalanche, and it seemed that thousands of troops were rushing over. Wei Dinghai and Xiao Honglian changed their faces at the same time. They had heard this movement. Xingtian riding on a wolf coming towards them. Xingtian said, Missed me?